Hey, what's up, you guys? Welcome to the 30th episode of The Black Couch. This is the Season 3 finale, the last episode you're going to get for Season 3. And for this special occasion, I guess, for this last episode of Season 3, we decided to review our most anticipated movie of this year, Iron Man 3. So, yeah, let's get reviewing. Okay, so to start this review, we're just going to talk about the characters first, and then we're going to go into the story. So, okay, let's start off with Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark / Iron Man. I thought you same as always, fantastic.
Like Robert Downey Jr. In a way, he steps it up because it shows it's a more dramatic role this time.
Right.
Yeah. He's not Tony Stark. Playboy billionaire.
Yeah, like he has
flaunt my money.
He has some flawed moments in this movie.
Yeah.
And I feel like Iron Man 2 kind of opened that a bit, and then Iron Man 3 kind of explores that a bit more.
A bit, but not too much.
Yeah, not too much.
Because I feel like they could have done more.
Yeah, what is one of the problems with this movie? I feel like they didn't like.
They half explained stuff.
Yeah, they showed us Tony's like struggle.
Yeah.
They don't really expand on it.
Because in the trailer, he's like. Nothing's been the same since New York.
And yes, they do that, but they don't really.
They don't expand on the fact that
that doesn't have to do with Robert Downey Jr.
No, no.
That's just how the character was written.
Yeah.
But yeah, Robert Downey Jr. just brings his humor to this.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Like he has this confidence, he has this charisma that makes Tony Stark who Tony Stark is.
Yeah, and I think in a way he's kind of like the Louis C.K. of the acting.
Right. Yeah.
Robert Downey, because like the way he acts, like he knows what he's talking about,
right?
But he like sputters and like over-explains through it so much that you're like, oh, this is really funny.
Yeah, because like he tries to be this really funny guy, but you feel like inside he's like
kind of
really
jerky,
annoyed and frustrated and stuff. But he gives off this really like cool persona, I guess. Especially when he's interacting with that kid.
Yeah.
There are moments where he got really pissy at him, and then he would apologize. Because, I feel like there's conflict in there.
Yeah, because inside Tony's head, he's obviously not been the same. He's seeing aliens, and he realizes he's just a dude in a suit.
I feel like they could have explored that more.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the main problem with his character in this one, I guess, which has nothing to do with Robert Downey Jr.'s performance. Like I said before. I just feel like their character could have been explored more.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, Robert Downey Jr. brings it to the table again.
Yeah.
He's fantastic. He's funny. He just makes the movie funny, but not so funny that it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So
like the seriousness and the funniness is very balanced.
He reminds you that he's a dramatic actor.
Yeah, and he's like every time he's on scene, all attention's towards him.
Yeah.
Like he just steals the show. So Robert Downey Jr. fantastic. Next is Gwyneth Paltrow as Pepper Potts. I feel like she has a much bigger role in this movie.
Yeah. I think the relationship from Iron Man 2 and the Avengers explored a lot more.
Yeah, and I guess the relationship was kind of tested a bit because there were moments where they're actually arguing.
Yeah.
Like in Iron Man 1, they argue, but it wasn't like serious arguments. It was just like joking around and stuff like that. But this one, they actually,
And in Iron Man 2, that was my major problem with Iron Man 2. It's not Pepper was just really annoying in that one.
Right. Yeah.
But in this one, it feels like she's trying to help him, but she can't get through because he has this trauma about New York, and his suits are kind of like his medication for like his psyche.
Yeah, and she doesn't get that, and then she has to learn and understand that. And not to give any spoilers, but she has a pretty badass role towards the end of the movie. So watch out for that if you haven't watched it already.
I don't think you'll expect it at all.
Yeah, but I feel like more of the relation. I feel like they could have explored more of the relationship too, because I feel like if you see the trailer, you know that Tony's house gets destroyed by the Mandarin. And before that, I feel like they didn't have
there wasn't enough time to.
Yeah, because after the explosion, there's not enough time for them to interact. Yeah. They're in two different places. I don't know if that's a spoiler or not, but yeah. Because Tony gets whatever in the snowy place and shit like that. So I feel like yes, they did establish some relationship stuff like conflict before the house explodes, but not too much.
But I feel like if they spent too much time in the beginning, then you would have felt like...
Yeah, because the thing is, this is the third Iron Man movie. Yeah. There were two before this. Yeah. So people might be sick of, they just want the action now. Because they already had the character development from the first two movies. But I feel like, Gwyneth Paltrow was fine.
Yeah.
Alright, so next character is Don Cheadle as Rhodey and
Iron Patriot.
Iron Patriot.
Not as cool as War Machine, but yeah.
But it was he same as Iron Man 2.
Yeah, there wasn't we expected him to have such a big role, but it was just like he was there and then he was gone.
And those scenes in the trailer where you think Rhodey is when you think Rhodey's doing something, that's kind of not.
They just exaggerate.
Not the full truth of the matter. And I feel like he had the same amount of roles in Iron Man 2, and that was the problem with me for that character.
Yeah.
I totally expected them to have him more in the scene, more major role in this movie, but he doesn't really.
Yeah, I don't see why they had to make him the Iron Patriot.
Yeah.
Like he would have. The movie would have just been the same if he'd been War Machine.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like even that, like, Rhodey didn't even have to be in Iron Man 2. I feel like.
Yeah, he didn't.
Yeah.
And he didn't feel like
he could have beaten Whiplash without War Machine.
Yeah, and there was no significance with his character because yes. Him and Tony talk back and forth, but there's no real like brotherly chemistry between the two. So that was a big disappointment. I feel like.
Yeah.
And
I think they just underwrote his character.
Yeah, and I feel like if he wasn't there, it wouldn't have really made a difference.
Like, yeah, I think he had a lot of potential.
And he's Tony's friend for Pete's sake.
Yeah.
He's supposed to have a big role, but he doesn't really.
I mean, in the TV, like 90s TV cartoon, he. Most of the time, a lot of the time, it's focused on War Machine.
Yeah.
And in the comics, they had like this huge kind of relationship, and it's kind of
that's a pretty big waste. But Don's performance was fine.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't outstanding, but
I mean, it wasn't. It's not gonna win an Oscar.
Yeah, but yeah, he did his thing. So.
Yeah. I mean, he had potential, but
he
just didn't like expand on that potential. They just put him there, and he's like, "Yeah, do your shit," and then leave.
Okay, so next character is Guy Pearce. What do you think of Guy Pearce? I thought he did fine.
His performance was good. Yeah, his performance.
Sometimes it was a little too much, but
right.
Yeah, but most of the time it was okay.
Like he was a good sleazeball.
But towards it, exactly. He brought this like confidence, this cockiness that I totally believe it.
And as you watch, I hate this motherfucker.
Yeah, I hate this motherfucker. And I don't want to compare this, but comparing to Olympus Has Fallen, which I've seen, that villain was the prime example of what you get when you don't believe in, that character's not believable. Like in Olympus Has Fallen, that guy who was the villain, he wasn't threatening, he didn't have a persona, he wasn't confident, I didn't believe him, I wasn't scared. But Guy Pearce brings this confidence to his character I believe this guy, when he threatens people, he means it.
Yeah.
And it's not an empty threat. But yeah, like, I agree with Anna, where, he does step over... Like
it's a little
overstep his bounds sometimes,
but most of the time it's under control. And he's like,
and he's a sleazeball, and he's just like, I hate this guy. He's like so, but then again, I don't like really. I like his character.
Yeah, you don't hate him entirely.
Yeah, so Guy Pearce, and there's a twist at the end, near the end, that really shows Guy Pearce's.
Balls.
Yeah, I guess.
But he was okay.
He was okay. So, Guy Pearce, he does an okay job. No, not okay job. I think he did a good job.
He did good, but
not as good as Robert Downey Jr.
No.
But I like this interaction with Robert. I feel like they actually did have some sort of, thing.
Yeah.
So next character is Rebecca Hall.
It's Maya Hansen.
She was completely useless.
She was just.
I feel like she didn't need to be in the movie at all. Yeah. There was literally no point.
Because in the beginning they set her up as like this huge thing that is gonna come bite Tony back in the ass.
Yeah, but like if she wasn't in the movie, it wouldn't have made much of a difference.
Like all the scenes she was in, can you think of one important thing she did?
Nope, not one important thing.
Like even when she
besides just prove again that Tony's a playboy.
Yeah.
That's the only thing she's actually she's a pretty face, but.
I don't know, even
in the comics, it was like, she had this huge role, I wanted her to have it.
Yeah.
I was like, please.
And something happens to her, to her character, that makes her even less important. Like what Guy Pearce's character does to her, you don't really care about her. And, Tony cares, but obviously, he's in that movie, he cares, but, fucking, you don't give a shit.
Yeah.
So, Next one is the Mandarin. I don't want to say too much. We don't want to say too much of the Mandarin because it's a big twist. There's a big twist about his character, and we don't want to give away too much. But he was an interesting character. Totally caught me by surprise.
No idea.
But I liked his character.
Yeah, the Mandarin was good.
I think Ben Kingsley does well with the character.
He could turn it on and off, his persona really good.
And I like that. I can't. There's
we
nothing else.
can't say much.
We can't really say much about. But let's just say before
you bust a lot of shit up.
Before some shit is revealed, he is pretty threatening.
Yeah.
Like in the trailer, if you thought he was threatening, right on,
right now,
spot on. He's like that.
Yeah.
But then something happens to him. Some stuff. I'm sorry for being so vague, but you're gonna have to watch the movie.
Yeah, we can't say anything.
But I think that twist kind of works with the reality of the story. Let's just say. I can't really say anything.
Okay, let's say that I kind of feel like if the twist never happened, it still would have been a good movie.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Like, because I feel like the twist was just kind of thrown in there just to be like, oh, we were expecting this, but this happened.
Yeah, exactly. I agree.
But I feel like his character would have worked if there wasn't a twist.
Right.
Like, he would have still been this huge terrorist.
Right. Alright, so that's most of the major characters. All the side characters do fine. There's not much problem with that.
John Favreau's Happy Hogan.
Yeah.
I mean, he's in the first line.
Right.
But I'm not going to explore what happens.
Okay, so now let's talk about the story. Now, you may think that because Iron Man 3 is the most anticipated movie this year that we're going to really like this. Unfortunately, I'm sorry to those who actually liked Iron Man 3, but I did not like it. I still think Iron Man 1's the best.
We all think Iron Man 1 is superior.
I'm sorry, but Iron Man 3 is kind of overrated. It's not as good as I thought it would be.
It's just that, okay. Fuck, it's so hard to talk about this without explaining. Okay. The plot points they introduce are never fully explained.
Yeah. There's a lot of plot holes that really, especially if you're into Iron Man, like if you know the Extremis story and stuff like that, it's gonna really get to you, and it really bothers me because they don't really explain it.
Yeah, because beforehand, I fucking looked through all the Extremis source material. I was like, okay, this is what happens to this character. He does this, she does that, then he gets this. But I kind of feel like
there's so much potential in this movie. They add so much stuff, but they don't do anything with it.
Exactly.
They just oh, this is cool shit, so we're just gonna do this.
Yeah.
And it's just so frustrating for me like that.
Yeah.
And I feel like Iron Man 1 is better because Iron Man 1 is more realistic.
And not only that, but it's more
grounded. Contained, yeah.
Because in this one, it's kind of like, boom!
Yeah, and like, they put too much shit in this movie. I feel like it was hard to juggle.
Yeah.
And I feel like, and this is the problem with most sequels, like, they have to make it bigger than the previous one.
That's why Spider-Man 3 failed.
Yeah, and that was the problem. I think Shane Black overstepped his bounds and did too much with the movie.
Yeah.
And I feel like Jon Favreau gets Iron Man more than Shane Black does.
Yeah.
But the reason why Iron Man 2 wasn't that good was because there, like I said again, many times.
They had to set up the
There's
Avengers.
too much Avengers setup for me to enjoy the movie. But I feel like if you took that away, Jon Favreau would have made a good movie.
Yeah. But for like Fate Marvel Universe purposes, they had to.
I feel like Jon Favreau should have directed Iron Man 3.
Yeah,
and
he really should have.
I'm not saying Shane Black did a horrible job. Like, don't get me wrong, I think Iron Man 3 is a good movie.
The high-octane action.
And I liked how it's not an Avengers setup. It's its own movie.
Yeah.
But my problem with it is just because there are too many plot holes, and they did way too much shit with the movie.
Yeah.
And then I feel like they put so much shit in that they were just like, we don't have time to explain it. We have to move on.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Let's just not do it.
And I feel like the Mandarin Twist kind of ruined the movie for me. In a not a huge way, but like in a sense.
And near the end, it pissed me off. The end.
Yeah.
The ending ended fine, but what happens near the end pissed me off.
Yeah. And here's the thing. Before the house explodes, like, if you watch the trailer, you would know the house exploded.
Yeah.
Before the house exploded, I was like, I don't think I'm gonna like this movie.
Like, it was a bit slow.
It was a bit slow, it didn't pick up. But when the house exploded, it started picking up. I was like, oh yeah, I'm getting into this movie. Yeah. But then after that, it just went up and down for me.
Yeah.
Like, I just wasn't sure.
Like, I wanted more of that character development with Tony Psyche. I wanted to know what he...
And they advertised it like that, but they don't really do it. And I feel like the trailer kind of mislead a lot of people. Because it's... Whatever you think of the trailer, it's not exactly what it is in the movie.
No, it never is.
It isn't. And I feel like Iron Man 1's still my favorite movie. Because I remember watching Iron Man 1, I was like, yeah, I really like this movie. Yeah. Iron Man 3, throughout the movie, there are always times where I was like, I'm not sure if I like this as much as I think I do.
Yeah. Because while you're watching, you're like, fuck, please, I want to like this movie.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that scene was really cool. Maybe that's why I like it.
Yeah.
But then you're in Iron Man 1 is still right here.
Yeah. And Iron Man was just so fun and so awesome, and like I feel like Iron Man 3 they put too much humor in it as well. Not that I'm saying the humor ruins the story. The humor is in that movie, like it's implemented well, but I feel like there are some moments where the humor wasn't needed to make the movie good or whatever. And also, can I just talk about this scene with all the Iron Man suits? You know what I said about the Avengers, where I said the action scenes were really well done because you could tell apart the characters. Yeah. And I said Transformers is stupid because
so if Transformers is here where like you don't know anything is happening, and Avengers is here where you know everything is happening.
Iron Man 3's in between. Right. Okay. It's somewhere in between because unfortunately they just start looking the same to me.
Oh, okay.
Like just a bunch of robotic things shooting fire everywhere.
No. Okay,
it didn't help when it was because it was at fucking nighttime too.
Yeah.
There are some points where you're like, okay,
and there's a scene where Tony jumps. I was watching him jump, and then when he jumped, I was like, where did he go? Like, I completely lost him. And then they show the scene where he fought. I was like, okay, yeah, he's there. But like, yeah, that kind of scene was kind of all.
Okay. But the thing is that when he was like jumping into the suit, I was like, oh my god, that's so cool. But like, I don't know. Now that you mentioned that you didn't really see, now I think back, I'm like, yeah, that was kind of like, whoa. Because like, the suit was in like pieces and it's just like, all that stuff was happening, so. And
I feel like, another problem with this movie is the villain's motivation.
Yeah. What was it?
I forgot to mention this when we were talking about Guy Pearce in the Mandarin, but like I didn't really understand what his what was he trying to accomplish. Yeah. Like it wasn't that clear to me.
Yeah.
And that was what really bothered me, because like if you don't know what the villain's motivation is, you can't really get into the movie because you don't really understand what exactly is going on. What's Tony fighting for? What's he protecting? I mean, yes, there are some scenes where you understood what the objective was, but overall, the overall kind of objective of the villain wasn't really that clear.
Yeah, they have one scene where they explain it, and it's very quiet, and you had to
it's very vague.
Yeah.
And that was... sorry for bringing Olympus Has Fallen back again. Same thing with Olympus Has Fallen. There was no motivation. I didn't understand. That was... Not that I'm saying Iron Man 3 is like Olympus Has Fallen. Don't get me wrong. Iron Man 3 is leagues ahead of Olympus Has Fallen. That's for sure. Don't get me wrong with that. But there are some similar moments there. And I just feel like they just wanted to add cool shit, but they didn't think of the consequences. Like, you're gonna have to explain this shit, dude, and that's not what you did. And I feel like Jon Favreau or Joss Whedon get this character.
Yeah.
But
I think that's why Jon Favreau didn't sign on to do this, because he was afraid he was gonna mess it up.
Right. And I understand, like, when Iron Man 3 first came out, they're like, oh, we're gonna make it more about terrorists and stuff like that, and they do that, but again, they don't really go into it. And
that's why I think the twist ruins it for me.
Right. But like I said, I like this a lot more than Iron Man 2 because there's no Avengers setup.
Yeah.
But they still do tiny references to the Avengers.
I mean, you still have to do that either way.
But okay, one big problem is if you're expecting to explain how the Avengers are not going to be in this movie, you're not going to find it because they don't explain it. Where was Rhodey in the Avengers? Not explained, and that was another reason why.
Yeah.
This movie.
You're watching the movie and you think, damn, this movie is really good. Once the movie's over and you start thinking about it.
I was already like.
Yeah. That's why I'm so frustrated.
Towards the end of the movie, I was already like, no, I don't
know.
I think Iron Man 1's better. The after credit scene kind of
was random,
but I feel like it was okay. Because it is the first movie of the Phase 2 movie, so, you know, it is what it is.
But I feel still like it's missing some connections.
Yeah,
right.
It is. You're left with a lot of questions at the end of the movie.
Yeah. It's just really frustrating.
Especially if you're like a huge fan like us. We like
nothing's been the same since Iron Man 3.
No.
We just like dissected the entire thing.
So overall, Iron Man 3 was really frustrating.
Yeah. Because there are so many good performances.
Yeah, and there's so much potential. Like the story, like the Extremis story. I just want it to work, but they don't explore that shit, dude. No. It really pisses me off that they don't do it. And so overall, Iron Man 3, I wanted to like this movie so badly.
Yeah, me too.
I thought, oh yes, fuck Iron Man 2. Iron Man 3 is gonna be so good, but it's not. I mean, okay, it's good, but like it's not fantastic.
on the surface, it's really like the action and the set pieces.
Yeah, but if you think about it,
like, but yeah, underneath here,
it just falls on itself.
Yeah.
So I really don't get me wrong. I really wanted to like this movie, but
it was good, but not as good as we thought it would be.
Yeah. So if you're an Iron Man fan,
you're gonna like Iron Man either way.
Yeah, you like Iron Man either way, but I would assume that you're probably gonna like Iron Man 1 still a lot better. I mean, you still enjoy Iron Man, but if you're just a casual moviegoer, you're probably gonna really like this movie. It has a lot of fun action and shit like that.
But if you're like us, who fucking like dissect
the movie,
the extra story,
and just don't hype yourself too much for this movie, and the trailers don't really.
Because that's what we did.
Yeah, but the trailers are. The movie is not exactly what the trailers make it out
because
to be.
we would spend so much time trying to figure out a screen. Like
but it's we're fully off. So yeah, it's time to give our scores. Here's okay. Originally, I was gonna give this movie an 8 out of 10. And then we talked about it. And then originally, I said Iron Man 2 was 7 out of 10, and Iron Man 1 was a 9 out of 10. Right?
Yeah.
But then I thought about it, and I wanted to put Iron Man 3 as 7 out of 10 because I just feel like there's so many plot holes, and it's just frustrating.
But it's not the same as
But
Iron Man 2.
unfortunately, I gave Iron Man 2 a 7 out of 10 too, and I obviously don't think that Iron Man 3 is the same thing as Iron Man, 2.
Yeah.
So I usually don't do this. I usually don't do 0.5 because I feel like that's a cop out. Unfortunately, this movie is just so frustrating because it's really good too, but it's not as good. And Iron Man 2 is not as good, and unfortunately, long story short, I'm gonna give it a 7.5 out of 10.
Okay. 7.5. I do give 7.5, by the way. 0.5 scores.
Right. And you?
Okay. Here's the thing. I wanted to give a 7.8, but I feel like that's a really shitty thing to do.
Right.
Because it feels like I wanted to give it an 8, but I'm being an ass about it.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna have to give 7.5 just because the plot has pissed me off so much.
Right. Okay. So overall, 7.5. It's an in-between movie.
Yeah.
I feel like definitely better than Iron Man 2, not as good as Iron Man 1. It's what Iron Man 2 should have been, I feel.
Yeah.
And it's in between. I can't give it an 8 because it's too high of a score for me. So overall score across the board, 7.5 out of 10. So that's it for this episode of The Black Couch, the season finale. And this was our review for Iron Man 3. Yeah, so if you guys watched Iron Man 3, please give your comment down below. Tell us what you think. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you think it was okay? Do you agree with our opinions of Iron Man? Are you frustrated? Are you frustrated just like us? Do you agree with us? Do you think we're full of shit? Tell us down below. Give us your opinion. And yeah, that's it. If you guys like this video, please like it. If you like it even more, please favorite it. If you like it even more, please share it. Subscribe to our channel for update content. Also subscribe to our personal channels. And yeah, this was the final episode of Season 3.
We've come a long way.
We'll see you next time for the first episode of Season 4, where we're going to review The Great Gatsby. So we'll see you guys then. Okay, hey, so I know this is where you're supposed to see the ending slate with the links, like right here, with the last video and shit like that. But after filming, we realized we said too much negative shit about this movie, and I feel like we didn't emphasize the fact that we still like this movie. Like, don't get us wrong. We
don't hate it.
We don't hate it. It's just like it was disappointing. It's not as good as everyone says it is, but it's still a good movie.
Yeah.
Like, I'm glad I watched it. It's still a good.
We don't regret it or anything.
Yeah, and it's still a good starting point for the summer movies of this year. Yeah. Don't get us wrong for that. Still a great start to the Marvel Phase 2 movies.
Yeah.
And yeah, overall, we still think it's a good movie.
Yeah, I mean, the music is really good.
I thought this theme was one of the best.
Yeah, we just decided to. Yeah. We feel like we missed a lot of things, so.
We're going back.
The music. I mean, Iron Man 1 and 2 didn't really have an Iron Man theme.
Yeah.
But this one, the Iron Man, the composer really came up with a theme that you can remember.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of like on par with The Dark Knight.
Yeah, and that was good. I feel like they got a lot more creative with how Tony gets in the suit.
Yeah, that was,
there was a spectrum. Because in Iron Man 1, he had the whole kind of hullabaloo with Jarvis suiting up. Iron Man 2, he had the suitcase.
And then this one, he has this whole elaborate scene in the final action scene, action sequence where he goes like from one suit to the
next
suit, and they got. I really liked how creative they were with that. Another thing is, I felt like there's the plane. You know that plane scene in the trailer.
Everyone's falling out.
That was a really
that was a really
good. I'll give Shane Black that. That was a really intense scene. And I was sitting on the edge of my seat for that for sure.
I was holding my breath the whole moment.
Same.
I know you saw me. The moment it ended,
You're like, oh my god, that was intense.
Yeah.
So overall, still 7.5, but.
We just wanted to emphasize that it was still a good movie.
It was still a good movie. And movie standards, it was good.
Yeah.
It's that as an Iron Man movie, I feel like the first one's better, and there's some stuff they could have fixed.
And some of the storyline plots were...
Yeah, but still a fun movie. Go watch it. Still fun. And
worth your money still.
Yeah, so, that's all. We just
just
wanted to add that stuff. We still like the movie, and so
this is the real ending.
Yeah, so the next after this is gonna be the end slate. I promise you. There's not gonna be any like half naked picture of Leonardo DiCaprio or something.
I know.
Or Brad Pitt or something. No, it's just gonna be So, bye. See you in
season 4 premiere.